So this is the article I'm going to read to you here about this, and this pretty much confirms everything about what I've been saying here about the middle of Nassau County, except for Farmingdale, basically being just ignored and not a popular place that people want to live. So this article here from Newsday says downtowns like Farmingdale have become a popular destination for millennials who are in the market for a home. All right, so Matt and Michelle Poracco have placed offers on 10 houses. They were 2 years into their search with heart set on living near their parents in Massapequa, of course. But time after time, they were beaten out by cash buyers, usually builders with big renovation plans. Because it was so challenging to find anything, we started sending mail to people in the area. We wanted to go right to the sellers to see if they'd be willing to sell directly to us. So you see, people are just fighting to get into that area, all right? It's very coveted, all right? This is not something I've been making up. This article proves it. Matt and Michelle, both 32, work as an electrical engineer and physician assistant, respectively. Together, they drove around Massapequa taking note of houses they liked. They wrote down the addresses and mailed letters to the homeowners asking if they'd be interested in selling anytime soon. Ultimately, this is how they found their home. And this is the couple right here, of course. Yeah, you can take a guess. Yeah, these kind of people, right? These are the kind of people that want to be, this is the kind of people that you're going to have living in there, all right? But as you see in this article, in this article, though, there are other people that aren't just, white, that are trying to get into that area. Because it was so challenging to find anything, we started sending mail to people in the area who wanted to go right to the sellers, all right? So millennials, anyone born between 1981 and 1996, per the Pew Research Center, represent about half the home buyer market right now, said Compass real estate agent Caitlin McCartney. And several local agents agree that millennials, like the Paraccos, often come into the process dead set on where they want to live. Some hot spots for young buyers right now are in the eastern part of Nassau County and western edge of Suffolk County, Farmingdale, Massapequa, Belmore, and West Babylon. Some factors that are important to millennials while house hunting are proximity to New York City, walkability, and access to nightlife. I think it's really important for them to establish their roots in neighborhoods that have that convenience factor, as well as a social scene and exclusivity in a way. McCartney said they want to know the hottest new place to go. And obviously, it's not Mineola, it's not Westbury, it's not Hicksville. All right? It's not New Hyde Park either. Elaine Patterson has been a real estate broker for more than 25 years and has been at Douglas Elliman Real Estate since 2005. Farmingdale is a hot spot, she said, and most of her clients interested in the area are millennials. And that was an area I looked when I was trying to move out of Westbury and was discriminated against. All right? They specifically said no programs. Patterson has noticed that an essential factor is accessibility, whether their house is close to major roadways and mass transit, but also walkable to businesses nearby. And that's the thing. They want a walkable community. Mineola is really not that walkable. Just look at the Willis Avenue thing and the way they designed this whole project with the railroad. It's made it harder to get around. The apartments near the Long Island Railroad Station, because the Willis Avenue tunnel has no sidewalks. It's not walkable. The apartments near the Long Island Railroad Station attracted plenty of millennial renters who wanted easy access to New York City. So they're passing over Mineola and going to other towns because they want a walkable town with a nightlife. Mineola has neither of those things. This generation of clientele also prefers turnkey over a fixer-upper. So again, they millennials, they have their own, attitude toward it. They don't really believe in fixing things. It's not like the baby boomers and the other people that have come before them. In that millennial age, and it's also not like the Gen Xers too, all right, which I'm part of. So in that millennial age, they're looking for things that are mostly done and updated. All right, they're spending a lot of money on their home and don't want to spend a lot of money to make improvements on that home. And they don't want to put any sweat equity into it either. So what millennial home buyers value? In the 2023 National Association of Realtors report, an annual compilation of generational trends in home buyers and sellers, home buyers of all ages were surveyed about what factors influence their choice in a neighborhood. Of the 4,611 overall respondents, 534 were between 24 and 32 years old, categorized as younger millennials in the report, and and 23 were 33 to 42 years old, older millennials. And I'm just outside that. I believe I'm Gen X. All right? And proud to be Gen X, by the way. According to the data, 48% of younger millennials said convenience to family friends was an influencing factor when determining where to live. This was also a factor for 40% of older millennials. Convenience to the workplace was important to 64% of younger millennials and 47% of older millennials. Schools, distance to New York City, and property size are all top of the mind for Christine Collins, millennial clients at Shane's Anchor Realty in Seaford. You wait to see what she says. But the closer you get to the city, the less property size you have. As you get closer to Suffolk, you get more. Patterson agrees, noting that while property size is the obvious difference between the counties, taxes for starter homes have actually become comparable between Nassau and Suffolk in the last decade. Collins looks at millennial hotspots by zones, an industry term real estate agents use to divide regions on Long Island. In her experience, Zone 5, southeastern Nassau communities, including Belmore and Massapequa, is the most sought-after region in that age bracket. I told you, that's the enclave. Everybody wants to live there, and people are fighting like hell to live there. And I need to live there, too. She said one reason is because many of these clients work in New York City, and that's why they want the Babylon branch. All right? Many millennials who grew up here are coming back to the area from Brooklyn, Queens, especially due to COVID-19 pandemic. So like I said, not everyone in the story is white. Not just white people want to be on the South Shore. Everybody wants to be on the South Shore. Everybody. Renee and Jonathan White moved from Queens to Belmore. In our younger days, we would have stayed in Queens, but after having kids, we wanted to venture out and find better school systems and more space. Renee White and her husband, Jonathan, both 37, moved from Queens to North Belmore in January 2021. Their house hunt began in 2017. The family had lived in Queens for about 15 years, and Jonathan is a New York City employee. The pandemic hit, and we stopped looking, said Renee, who works for an accounting firm based in Melville, which was the biggest mistake we could have made. The couple was paying $2,200 a month for their apartment in Cambria Heights, but the landlord increased their rent in 2020 to $2,320. Renee said it pushed them to continue their quest for homeownership, initially focusing on houses in Lynbrook and Valley Stream. Then, while researching school districts for their daughters, Milan and Sydney, ages 15 and 5, they discovered Belmore and Merrick. White also found houses with larger yards as she looked further east. The couple purchased their home for $625,000 in October 2020. My husband works in Queens and is still relatively close, said Renee. And as an avid traveler, being able to drive to Kennedy Airport in under a half an hour without traffic is a plus. White said that their four-bedroom house in a cul-de-sac, among other millennial residents, doesn't feel much different from the supermarket back in the city. It's within walking distance to the supermarket, restaurants, and other businesses. And that's what people want. And you don't get that in Mineola. We don't have that many restaurants. We don't really have a really decent supermarket here. We have nothing, all right? It's a ghost town. People want to be on the South Shore. In our younger days, we would have stayed in Queens, said Renee, but after having kids, we wanted to venture out and find better school systems and more space. The search for a social scene, and this is what I mean by search for social scene, all right? Because people want a social scene, and the middle of the island doesn't have it, all right? So, real estate agent, this is the real estate agents that we interviewed in the Catalin McCartney has noticed Long Islanders in her age bracket flocking to areas with a vibrant social scene, all right? People want a vibrant social scene. A lot of millennials grew up in those towns, but you have to open up and look in a little bit of a larger space, otherwise you're not going to find anything, she said. In terms of millennials that I work with, everyone wants the same neighborhoods in Nassau County, McCartney said. And that's Merrick, Belmore, Wantagh, Seaford, Massapequa, and Massapequa Park. It's that straight run. So that's even more coveted than Rockville Center, I guess. I kind of like Rockville Center better, all right? But again, everybody wants that particular area, all right? As a millennial, McCartney, 30, has noticed Long Islanders in her age bracket flocking to areas with a vibrant social scene. Newdensy's Restaurant, Croxley's Ale House, and 317 Main Street are popular spots in Farmingdale, and young adults want to move closer. I think that's where millennials want to be, at the center of the action. All right? They don't want to be in the barrens. On the other hand, many millennials end up settling in communities that feel familiar, Patterson noted. A lot of them grew up in those towns. They left their families and moved west to be closer to work. But when they get married, not a lot of them want to move back to their hometown. It's really interesting. They'll look within a radius, but then you have to open up and look in a little bit of a larger scope. Otherwise, you're not going to find anything. Andrew Shapiro and his wife Ashley, both 33, were renting in Massapequa together before trying their luck on the buyer's market. They both grew up in Levittown, so they started looking for their forever home around there. Andrew is CEO and founder of Tomahawk Shades, an eyewear company, while Ashley is the vice president of training for Bear Burger. We saw 30 or 40 homes. We couldn't find anything we loved. But the minute we started to look in Babylon, we instantly found something we liked. We were originally looking at Massapequa, Seaford, Wantaw, and Levittown. And we were just kind of looking, no expectations. But the Shapiros quickly found that for their selected price range and radius, the houses available would need a lot of renovation, so they expanded their search. We looked in Lindenhurst, and Islip was a thought. See, nobody wants the middle of the island. Everybody wants the South Shore. Everybody wants the South Shore. The rest of the island is like worthless now, all right? And it was strange because when we were looking, we saw 30 or 40 homes. We couldn't find anything we loved. But the minute we started to look in Babylon, we instantly found something we liked. Median closing price among sales in February, according to this is what the closing costs are. You need over $500,000 to get a home in Nassau, and a little bit over $500,000 in Suffolk. So who can afford that? You know, if you want to live somewhere with a good quality of life on Long Island and you're not rich enough, well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to shut up and go live in New Jersey or somewhere else. In February 2023, the median price among closed sales in Nassau was $640,000. I just read that. So the couple bought a house in West Babylon for $550,000 and moved in last December. Our backyard neighbors all have kids with pools and trampolines, and they're all roughly our age, so it's good to see that in our area. So the island's future. Hempstead native Lauren French initially looked at houses in Rockville Center in Merrick before settling in Wantaw. So Rockville Center in Merrick was significantly out of my budget, and Wantaw was not on my radar. So she did find something in Wantaw. But see, everybody wants to live on the South Shore. It's not everybody wants to be on the South Shore, all right? That's the area of Long Island that is now civilization. The rest of Long Island is either urban barrens or pine barrens. All right? And they're not popular with anyone, apparently. So, Rakesha Johnson, a real estate agent at Fave Realty in New Hyde Park, has encouraged her clients to consider looking houses that are further east in their preferred radius. Last year, after searching, she ended up helping a home buyer move from Brooklyn to Medford. Yeah. All right, that's somebody that went to the middle of the island, probably because they couldn't afford the South Shore. So, but people love Nassau, said Johnson, who has lived in Baldwin for 19 years. They really do. It's about the convenience of it all. Johnson has been in the business for 5 years and has learned to give her clients as many options as possible so they can figure out exactly what they want. I'll just show them a lot of places, she said, something they can't afford and places they can. I guess this is the real estate agent. So, while people love, all right, so this is Lauren French. All right, this is Lauren French because she made her way back. So she was looking here, and, you know, everybody wants to be, didn't we just read that? All right, we did. I think there's some issue. All right, there's a little more. So they're kind of rehashing it here. But her real estate agency, so she'd found a 3-bedroom home in Wantaw for $505,000. The home is an in-ground pool, which French saw as a nice perk, and which she rents out by the hour using the app Swimply. It allows me to collect additional funds as a homeowner. As for the Picaros, they purchased their ranch-style East Massapequa home. I guess it didn't wind up in East Massapequa from its original owners for $615,000 last June. The place needs some work, but he is up to the job. We took out a home-style renovation loan, referring to a program through Fannie Mae, which allows you to purchase a property and wrap the renovation budget into your mortgage. So we're looking for anything that could use some TLC to be able to afford to make it our home. The couple has a 1-year-old son, Luca, and welcomed their second baby, Cypriot, last month. Without a doubt, they're here to stay. With Long Island, people are here for a reason. Our entire family is here, and we're lucky enough to have them nearby. And we want this to be our forever home. As long as our family's here, we're going to stay here. So there you go. Everybody wants the South Shore. Nobody is willing. Mineola is not even... People don't want to live in Mineola. They don't want to live in New Hyde Park. They see this as an industrial wasteland. This is what I've spoken about all this time. You know, this whole area here is just not... people don't want to live here because we don't have really that many downtowns to go to. The train line, you go to these train stations, they're not really near anything, all right? You know, the train stations are not near anything. The only train station that here that's near anything, and I'm not talking about Hicksville, Farmingdale, and that's why the Farmingdale does well, because they have a decent downtown, but that's the only one. But Farmingdale is sort of like on that edge of that enclave. So it's this enclave area right here. This is the enclave. You know, this area, and now I hope hopefully you believe me when I say this, particularly this area right here, is an enclave. Half of Amityville is, and you got Massapequa, goes up to Farmingdale, part of Levittown, part of East Meadows, goes down here, and this is an enclave. This whole area is a very, very coveted enclave right here. All right. And then, of course, you have Rockville Center and Lynbrook, which also is an enclave, this area here, all right? Also an enclave right here, right? Because the Babylon branch, you have all these towns along the Babylon branch, all right? Look, you have Lynbrook, you have Rockville Center, you have a small downtown area in America, a little bigger one in Belmore. There's some stuff around the Wantagh train station, Massapequa. You got it downtown in Amityville. You got it downtown in Lindenhurst. You got it downtown in Babylon. You don't have this along the main line. And this is why I need to live on the South Shore, because I need to have that, because it's going to make my life so much easier to get around and to go places where there's people. There's no people here in Mineola. You've seen how dead it is here. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. So this is what's going on. In the middle of the island is getting redlined, all right? Nobody wants to live here. Nobody wants to live here. Whites don't want to live here. Blacks don't want to live here. Hispanics don't want to live here. Indians don't want to live here. Asians don't want to live here. Nobody wants to live here. This is a no man's land, all right? All right, for the most part, all right? This is what's going on. And the North Shore, too, to some extent. Nobody really wants to live on the North. I think it's because the North Shore is still very expensive. All right, but people don't like the North Shore because, again, it's the same thing that you have, except for Port Washington. Most of the downtowns are not near train. You can't take the train to go to other downtowns. The Port Washington line, especially lately, is seeing a lot of cuts. It's really not as coveted as it once was. And, just getting around, it's not as easy. It's far away from everything. And then you have to deal with the power outages and stuff. So people want the South Shore. That's the bottom line. They want the South Shore. Middle Island, forget it. It's all about the South Shore. And that's kind of like what I've been saying in this whole video here. It's all about the South Shore. This is where people want to be. But it's very coveted. Everybody wants to live there. The businesses want to be there. Everybody wants to be there. And the middle of the island, we deal with the crime. That's the other thing, is that you don't have the crime there. People just... Well, here's an example. All right, I'm just going here to show you. All right, just show you what's going on here. All right, so here we go. Illegal man extradited. This guy from Westbury. All right, middle of the island area. Illegal gun sales in Westbury, Uniondale, and Hempstead. Channel 12 didn't even cover this because they're talking about the stuff that they like to talk about with politics. All right, people don't want to deal with crime. Home break-in. Police see T2. Where did this happen? Locust Valley. That's the North Shore. All right. It's all. Meanwhile, the South Shore stays safe. Here we go, another one. Trio steals multiple tires, rooms from Long Island car dealerships. And these were, let's see where they struck. Let's see where they struck here. They struck in Glen Head and East Hill. So the North Shore is getting crime, all right? Because it's dark there. It's easy to hide. And here's another one. No man used at Deer Park intersection. All right. Drive-by shooting. Here we go. I think we covered this already. Drive-by Hempstead. All right. I mean, it's all the middle of the island and the North Shore. That's where all the serious stuff. South Shore, you have some stuff here. Man threatens officer with rifle. This didn't even get any talk about here. Where did that happen at? All right. That did happen in Oceanside. All right. But most of these are middle of the island. All right. All of these are middle of the island. All right. Deer Park man, all right? Majority of the crime happens here, all right? Man accused of fatally stabbing cousin. Hauppauge, and assaulting cousin's girlfriend. Yeah, they're from Bayshore. I think they're from, no, not Bayshore, Brentwood, all right? So this is what goes on, all right? The middle of the island is destined for ruin. And, it's a shame. Nobody has these, and nobody wants to live here. I mean, Why? What attributes does this area have? We don't have any natural parks. They've cut down all the trees. It's nothing but strip malls. It's just boring. There's no nightlife. There's nothing here. I mean, who wants to live in a place like this? You know, I mean, look at Jericho Turnpike, our main thoroughfare. Look at how just this is it. I mean, who wants to live here? There's a closed business right there. I mean, who wants to deal with this? Right? Who wants to have that in your neighborhood? All right? People want to be on the South Shore, where you can go along Merrick Road and Merrick, for instance, here, and look at how nice it is. You got businesses. It's walkable. You know, this is where people want to be, and that's where I need to be. And like I said, if I can't get here, get out of where I'm at, I'm gonna have to go live in New Jersey. Because guess what? I was in New Jersey yesterday, and you know what? Yeah, I know you could say Tom's River, it's even worse than the middle of the island. Is it really? Because if we go to Tom's River, is it really? All right? Yes, it definitely is more spread out. And I wouldn't choose to live there. But if it means the only place to live where there's some life and where it's taken care of, then that's where I'm going to wind up. Because even their downtown has some life in it. They fixed it up. It's walkable. All right? It's not like Mineola. All right? We got a bunch of places here. All right? You got a bunch of places here, though. I don't see a whole lot of people out on the street. This was taken probably sometime. It looks like early in the morning, judging by the sun angle. But even here, their downtown looks better. I don't want to live in Tom's River, but it's where I'm going to wind up if I can't live where I need to on the South Shore. Especially now when you have articles like that in Newsday, like this, you know, pretty much confirming everything I've been saying for the past, I don't know how many years on this channel, about people want the South Shore. The middle of the island is wasteland. It's forgotten. Nobody wants to live here, and I mean nobody. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching.